Time is ever on the road to ride us in what we make. I walk to hear how it's give and take. But hear it this way, hear it this way. Alright. In our hearts and blood is in the land we love. We keep breaking our backs, hoping that it gives enough. Oh, what do you need? What do you need? Oh, man's ladders to the sky, building up a high rise. Oh man, we won't last long, but we're giving it a best try. Don't you know you're alive? You know you're alive. And none of us stay the day we're born to win.
Welcome. We are back. Horrible day for the market. Worst day, in fact, since 2020, in almost 2 years. So, yeah, today was rough. I'm sure for a lot of you, unless you were in puts, then congratulations. But market volatility continues. We're gonna, get to it. I'm gonna start off with crypto as per usual, but this is setting up a very interesting opportunity for just the intraday price action for tomorrow, which I'm going to be talking about. And yeah, if you watched last night's stream, I was basically saying that I was becoming short-term bearish, like coming into today and tomorrow. It kind of played out quicker than I imagined, so that's I'm going to give you an update on how I feel right now, like in a little bit. But it's just crazy. Like I was kind of, I was short-term bullish last week because we had like those wedges across the board. I'm sure a lot of you remember. We had these wedges and I was saying I was short-term bullish coming into this week and whatnot, and that played out. And then last night on stream, I was saying, all right, this has played out. A lot of stocks have rallied a lot in like 3 days, like up like 25 to 40%. And I was basically saying that I was starting to become short-term bearish. And then we gapped down today. We were down 1%. Even at one point, we were down 2%. I'm like, all right, that's cool. That's, I was short-term bearish. I think we've sold off, nice little healthy pullback. And then it just kept going and it kept going and it kept going. And we ended up closing down 4%. So yeah, it was definitely wild. We're going to get back to stocks in a second. Let me start off with crypto. Dogecoin really not doing much. It might have broken down on the 1 hour. Remember we charted that triangle last night. So you got like a little 1 hour breakdown. Hopefully you can just make a higher low above these lows. That's really all I'm hoping for this crypto alert currently. Only down a little bit since the entry. Bitcoin sold off today. It's retesting, or it's still just testing the same exact zone. You've kind of spent a week here and there still really isn't any confirmation to either side. I don't think that we've confirmed a bounce off these levels. I don't think we've confirmed a breakdown. We're still just testing this huge important inflection zone for Bitcoin. So really not much I can update on until we do something. And then Ethereum, bearish engulfing candle today. Not really looking great. Kind of like a bear flag on like lower time frames for Ethereum. A little bit of like a bear flag breakdown for ETH. See what happens. Moving on to some other markets, we're going to start off with crude oil continuing to sell off after rejecting these highs from March 2 days ago. You're still overall, I'm actually going to change this chart up a little bit, and I'm just going to look at this as one big range. Okay, so you're still just within this range. So we break to either direction. There's just not much of any updates for crude oil. Moving on to metals, nothing really changed for gold today. Nothing really changed for silver, to be honest. The dollar currency index bouncing back today with a lot of equities selling off. Let's go down to lower time frames. And this might actually be shifting. We had that rising wedge bearish breakdown earlier. this actually might be shifting to a little bit more of like a 4-hour broadening wedge maybe, with some hidden bullish divergence. This is very similar to what the US 10-year did. If you all remember, the US 10-year had this bearish pattern, then it created a bullish pattern, and then it made a nice little move to break out of it and go to that next, so you can see. So remember, bearish pattern into a bullish pattern. Let's go over to the US 10-year, same exact thing. Bearish pattern into a bullish pattern, and then it played out until today when it sold off. So still bearish on the US 10-year around 3%. I still think that this looks overbought, but we'll see what happens. And then moving on to the VIX, which shot up today. And this is another key level we were talking about, 25. We've been talking about these this level for the past 2 nights, all right? From the highs over here, the lows here, the highs over here, the low here. I was saying look for a potential bounce on the VIX around 25, which in turn would be a pullback for the market, which we did get today. However, it wasn't just a bounce. It was like it pumped like 19% in one day while the market had its worst day in almost 2 years. So market's just on steroids in both directions. You're getting really quick extended bounces, and then also you're just, you're just dropping like crazy. It's just the volatility in general is just out of this road right now. So moving over to the indices, and yeah, let's start off with the daily. Big red candle. You ended up filling a gap, which we're going to go down to on lower time frames. Apart from that, believe it or not much has changed for the S&P on the daily, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't think that you looked so different on the daily over here than over here. You had a little bit of a reflex rally. Now you're pulling back a bit. In my opinion, as long as you can just hold these general areas, it still looks fine to me, despite a 4% red day. Now, if we were to continue selling off for another 2%, then we're breaking this low, and that would be a little bit more concerning. But for right now, you're still above it. And yeah, moving down to the 4-hour, we talked about this exact supply line last night on stream. That ended up getting rejected off of the gap down today, and you just continued lower until you filled this gap that we talked about last night. I did not think that this gap would fill today. I'm sorry, I did not expect the market to fall 4% in one day and have the worst day in like nearly 2 years, but you ended up going all the way to from up here to fill this gap that we were just talking about for like maybe like 2 days out filling. It filled in one day. And what does it set up though? What is all of this just pain from today set up on lower time frames? In my opinion, like in hindsight, like it probably is better to get this flush done in like one day rather than like 2 or 3 days. And it's still possible we continue selling off, but if we can start like pivoting tomorrow, it does set up a very, very interesting situation, right? Let's just zoom out for a bit. Selling off, selling off, selling off, selling off. You've really not gotten a higher low at any point. If you can just make any sort of low above these lows from the beginning of the month, that puts in a higher low for the S&P. What else could help you out with that? Some 1-hour hidden bullish divergence potentially. This 1-hour gap fill. And then on the 15-minute, you've got a bullish cipher. You literally hit the PCZ right before the close. You've got this MACD curling back towards green. On the 5-minute, you've got this down sloping channel. So it is setting up a very, very interesting scenario on lower time frames for tomorrow or maybe even Friday. So, I was short-term bearish up over here. Now I'm short-term bullish. So kind of just flipped back to the other side because we sold off even quicker than I would have thought. So that's really what I'm thinking. Hopefully those low time frame variables can play out, because if they don't, then everything changes. If we just keep selling off like there's no such thing as a support and none of those variables play out, that's when it gets scary, because then we're going to be retesting our bear market lows, and we'll have to kind of take it from there if we get there. But yeah, moving on to the QQQ. Look at this. And I was even talking about this last night, saying, all right, you're above it, but you want multiple days of confirmation. You could always just get back under it, and you're just kind of going up and down. So I'm just going to keep the same sort of opinion where, like, if we get back above it tomorrow, it's not like, oh my gosh, it's the best thing in the world. And just because we're below it today, it's not like, oh my gosh, it's the worst thing in the world. It is a very critical level, right? But it takes multiple days of confirmation to either side. So I'd say at least 2 to 3 days of staying above or below this level would give you some confirmation. So far, you've been above, below, above, below, above, below. We got to wait for it to hold on one side. Just think of it as like, I don't know, tug of war. Like, you just keep going back and forth. Like, one side has got to win it at some point, and I'm just waiting for that. And then going down to lower time frames, very similar. You filled a gap on the 1 hour, and then on the 15-minute, kind of also got this like cipher-ish formation. It's not really textbook, but it's pretty close. I mean, you're just like a few percent shy on the B point. Everything else looks fine for a bullish cipher. And then again, that 15-minute MACD crossover. Your MACD was red. For all of today. For all of today, it was red on the 15 minutes. So you just are getting these crossovers into the close. And the same thing, another one with that 5-minute low time frame down sloping channel. Like literally all of today, you just created these channels like in one day, which is pretty impressive actually for bears. And then same thing for the Russell 2000. I think the Russell might have even been like the first to break out on the 5-minute, but this is how I've got it set up on low time frames. Going back up to higher time frames, you still do have a gap just below you to fill at 174-ish on the Russell 2000. But in general, again, I was saying last night that I was expecting a short-term pullback because we had already rallied up like 8% in 3 days. We got that today. We fell 3.5%. Fine. You just want to stay above this big inflection zone. So for like a 1-day pullback, today was very crazy. But in general, this was the type of move I was expecting for like 2 to 3 days. Like it just happened very quickly. But hopefully it's not the start of just like, you know, we had a few days of rallying, a big pullback day, and then another, and then another, and then another, right? Because we've seen this a few times before. You just have like these like big days of bouncing, and then you have that one big pullback, and then it's just there's follow up to the downside, which is what I don't want to see here. All right. And it was also interesting to see, like, you know, the S&P was down like 4%, the NASDAQ was down almost 5%, and a lot of like mid caps and growth stocks, they were red, but they weren't as red as you would expect. Like we've had days where like the S&P is down like 3%, and you look across the board and these names are down like 10 to 15%. Today, I mean, like clov was only down a couple percent, Lucid was only down a couple percent, Fisker was up 5%, AMC was only down 1%, Twitter was only down a few percent. Like it really just was a few names such as Target just really just dragging things down. We're going to get to that in a little bit, but yeah, and there also wasn't even that much volume behind the move today. It was just a very extended move. It was just like low volume pulling and pulling and pulling from the indices, but a lot of individual names held up pretty decently despite the large sell-off, even though it's like I think it was like 90% downside volume or something like that today, which is like the opposite of yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, or the day before. So yeah, there's that. You know, it was a very brutal day. We'll see what happens. Okay, moving on to the swings. Clov was down a couple percent today. It's pretty much still just around where I alerted it as a swing. Nothing's changed. All right, you're still outside of the down sloping channel. If we zoom out, it still looks just like a large double bottom, one bottom, second bottom. Still have the hidden bullish divergence. Pulled back a couple percent on a very red day for the market. Not really that surprising. And if you go back to last night's stream, I was saying that this exact blue zone was the area you could see some resistance, and you did. Okay, so no surprise. That was a very, you know, like I don't think anybody's surprised that it was down a couple percent today. It's putting a very nice move off the lows, almost like a 50% move in just a week. Hit a resistance. The market's super red. It makes sense. Then moving on to Lucid, which was down a few percent today. This is still, again, not a lot of technical damage. Despite the horrible, just large red candle for the market, a lot of individual names, like really no technical damage at all. Lucid still just back testing the breakout of this wedge. MACD momentum is still growing. No change since yesterday. GameStop, this swing was already yesterday. It's currently down about 4%. You're still in your channel. You're still above the double bottom lows. You still have hidden bullish divergence developing. It seems horrible if you just look at how much the S&P is down, but if you look at some of these charts, like they really don't look different at all. I mean, this is still very clearly nicely within its channel on the 4 hour. Clov is still out of its channel on the 4 hour. Lucid is still out of its wedge on the 4 hour. And you're actually getting these back tests. And again, go back to last night's stream. I was saying I'm looking for gap fills on the indices, and I'm looking for breakout back tests on a lot of these mid caps and growth stocks, and that's what we're getting. However, there was one name that we didn't even get a back test on today. Okay, it was a name that you all are very familiar with, that I just alerted a swing on like 2 days ago on Monday, and it was up again today. Fisker up 5% when the NASDAQ was down 5%. Just absolutely amazing. it was only like 3% away from the first target this morning at the highs, and currently the FSR swing is up 14% since the alert on Monday. So hopefully it can keep going. We can have another successful FSR swing trade in the books. We're currently 6% away from the first target. Yeah, you never really did get a back test. That's the one thing. You never got a back test, but you still have the classic bullish divergence. You still have this shark playing out. You're just moving. You're doing what you want to see during a swing. Hopefully it can clear this 1157 resistance and hit that first target. So that's FSR. So those are the swings. Moving on to target, which was down 25% today. Ended up closing as like a doji candle, but 25%. I think this was like the worst day for target since Black Monday. So yeah. It's gonna show up on trading, but when you have something like this happen, it can be concerning. There's really not much TA I can do on target. You also had Walmart down 7% today after being down 11% yesterday. So you're starting to see these retail names getting absolutely demolished, and then, you know, in turn it's affecting something like the S&P 500. What do you even say about it? You know, what do you even say? So that's where we're currently at. Going into tomorrow, my main focus is just straight up looking at the S&P 500 on low time frames. Like, I'll be looking at individual names, I'm sure, intraday, but like my main focus is all of this good stuff, potentially good stuff. So we'll see what happens tomorrow, but dropping 4% in one day, I mean, it's always possible we drop more tomorrow, but I would be very surprised if we didn't at least have some sort of an intraday rally. So we'll see what happens, okay? And I'm not gonna lie, like, I've been live for under 20 minutes. This might be my shortest stream ever. I wasn't even gonna go live tonight. I just wanted to give an update on everything. I just have a really bad headache. If you're in premium, I said like in the morning that I wasn't feeling well. So yeah, I'm just gonna go to bed, but just wanted to do a little quick update stream. I'm sorry for like just how out of the loop everything has been with the streams. It's just been a little bit, I think, just one thing after another so far this month. So yeah, all right, thank you for watching this little quick update. I don't know, hopefully you got a little bit of anything from this stream. I hope so. All right, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Peace out. Join the Discord, link is in the description.